Welcome to NVC Life. I'm Rachelle Lamb, veteran NVC trainer and relationship coach, helping listeners navigate interpersonal conflict and ground more deeply into relational living. Greetings, fellow humans. Today's episode is on feelings. Feelings are the second step of the nonviolent communication process. Someone does something that you enjoy or that you don't enjoy, you state what you observe, and then you state how you feel. Now, feelings are quite complex, and there's a lot that goes on inside our brain, inside of our bodies, that alert us to the fact that we do have feelings. At the very basic level, we can feel hunger, we can feel excitement, which is either a happy excitement or a cautious excitement, such as fear or anxiety. We can feel pain, hurt, sorrow, and feelings can as well be quite nuanced. Nonviolent communication encourages us to develop a fluency in feelings, the ability to actually be aware of what's going on inside of us and to state it clearly, because others are not mind readers. We might have a smile on our face, but even a smile on our face, while normally understood as feelings of joy and happiness, it's not always the case. I'm sure everyone who's listening has had the experience of smiling but inwardly feeling something else, feeling maybe confused, sad, alone. It's usually pretty easy to guess another person's feelings when they express them openly, and it's almost impossible when they don't. Let's hear what Rosenberg has to say about feelings in his book, Nonviolent Communication, A Language of Life. Nonviolent communication heightens our awareness that what others say and do may be the stimulus, but never the cause of our feelings. We see that our feelings result from how we choose to receive what others say and do, as well as our particular needs and expectations in that moment. Okay, that's super important to take that in, because Marshall here is using the word choice. And so often we think, oh my gosh, I'm not choosing to feel this way. Certainly there's no perception of choice in the matter when we are at times flooded with feelings so immediately. And yet there are areas where we do have agency, much more than we believe. Let me give you an example. Let's say, for instance, that you are a patient in a hospital and meal times are at 8 a.m., noon, and 5 p.m. We'll imagine that it's 5 p.m., you're in your hospital bed, and so far, no food, but it could arrive any minute now. It's 1:15, no food. It's 5:30. Still no food. The food arrives at 5:35. Now, you have a choice as to how you're going to respond, and I would say that you also have a choice in how you're feeling. So, you're hungry. But how are you feeling about the fact that the food that is normally delivered at 5 is now arriving 35 minutes later than usual? Some patients might feel irritated and angry. Some patients might not experience any agitation. They might be quite content and simply wondering, I wonder what's gotten in the way of the delivery. Why the difference? If you are the angry patient, you've got an expectation. Marshall used to describe anger in the following way. He'd say, when I'm angry, 3 things are true. 1, there's something that I'm wanting that I'm not getting. 2, I'm thinking it should be given to me. 3, I'm about to speak or behave in a way that virtually assures I will not get what I want. So the second part there, I'm thinking it should be given to me. If you're in the hospital and the food normally arrives at 5, and you're thinking it should be there at 5, and you make no allowances for the fact that there are circumstances sometimes that interfere with us getting what we want when we want it, then you will likely be viewing the situation through a lens of entitlement. And that sense of entitlement will be what is generating your feelings, not the fact that you're hungry, not the fact that you have a need for sustenance. That's not where it's coming from. It's coming from the entitlement. And I should be served at the scheduled time. I recognize that it's not flattering to consider the possibility that maybe we're walking around as entitled and that this is the reason why we get angry. But you can see how the thinking is absolutely 100% involved in generating the feeling. That aligns with what I read earlier. We see that our feelings result from how we choose to receive what others say and do, as well as our particular needs and expectations in that moment. Another important piece around feelings is that so often people do think they're describing feelings, and in fact, they're describing their thoughts. Let me give you an example. If I say I feel abandoned or abused or attacked or betrayed, boxed in, bullied, there's a whole list of similar words in the book Nonviolent Communication. If I'm using that kind of language, I'm not describing how I feel. What I'm describing is my interpretation of your actions. Now, I've had people object to this. In a workshop, someone will say, "Wait a second, Rachelle. I have absolutely felt betrayed. Every cell of my body, I have felt betrayed." One of the things I do like to clarify is when you say you feel betrayed, it doesn't mean there isn't any feeling present. I get it. There's a lot of feeling present. But let me illustrate more clearly why betrayed is not a feeling. I'm going to say I feel betrayed twice, and I think you'll appreciate the difference. I feel betrayed, damn it! Okay, clearly, I'm angry. I might also say, I feel betrayed. Okay, so then I'm sad when I'm saying it. I'm heartbroken. Now you can see that in both cases, I said I feel betrayed, but I was not describing feeling. I was describing what I perceived you to have done to me. This is distinctly different. And for me, this is incredibly liberating. I am taking responsibility for what's going on inside of me and for how I describe what is happening inside of me. So in that first instance, it's something like, when you did X, I felt so angry. I'm still feeling angry because I have a need for trust. You see, when someone uses the word betray, you know right away that the need or value that has surfaced is trust. We want to trust the people that we're in a relationship with. And so betrayal points to the loss of trust and the necessity to rebuild trust if that's the choice that's going to be made. So I say, I feel angry because I have a need for trust in our relationship. And if I'm sad, I'm going to describe that I'm feeling sad, I'm feeling hurt, I'm feeling alone. I have a need to trust in our relationship. And that was lost when you did what you did. Here's another way that we confuse feelings with thoughts. Have you ever been in a situation where you ask somebody, how do you feel? And the person responds by saying, I feel that fill in the blank. I feel you should be more fill in the blank. I feel it, fill in the blank. I feel the government, fill in the blank. Now, I've used the word feel, but I'm telling you what I'm thinking. I'm telling you how I'm evaluating or assessing. That's what I tell you. There's no clear articulation of feeling in that. And so we really want to learn how to be more connected to our feelings. When you're talking about feelings and you're going to use the word feeling, make sure you actually describe a feeling. When you're thinking, then that's fine to say, I'm thinking this, I'm thinking that. Keep your feelings in the feelings lane and your thoughts in the thoughts lane. Now, an exercise that I regularly invite people to do in workshops is to look at the list of words where people think they're talking about feelings, but they're not, such as the ones I mentioned earlier: abandoned, abused, attacked, betrayed. So you look at that list, and what you do is you circle the words that you use most often, whether you think them or speak them. It could be unloved, disrespected, put down, for instance. And really reflect on how you feel typically when you do use that language. What are the words that you're not using to describe what's going on? Typically, they're words like I feel hurt, I feel scared. And when we use that kind of language, we express ourselves more fully and or exposing ourselves. And people feel fearful of doing that. They don't want to expose themselves. They'd rather be armored and say things like, I feel disrespected. And what happens then when we use that kind of language is that we are putting ourselves and others into the victim position. Not a very good place to be. So nonviolent communication encourages that people are very clear about how they feel. They get to know their feelings. They learn how to express them fully and take responsibility for them. Now, the last thing I want to add is this is a line from a song from Leonard Cohen, who said, I don't trust my inner feelings come and go. It's worth considering that sometimes we become overly attached to how we feel, as if feelings represent the absolute truth or are the fulsomeness of everything that's going on in the moment, when they're not. Stick around long enough, the landscape changes, perceptions change, feelings come and go. Our feelings are powerful signals. They let us know about whether or not our needs are being met and what changes might be required. But they can also be alerting us to distorted thinking. So when you're feeling something, really look at that. Really examine whether or not you are thinking clearly. Does something in your environment need to change, or do you need to change? To conclude this episode, a word on gratitude. When you are able to feel grateful for life, just for the fact that you got to wake up this morning and make it through the night. I'm speaking about the gratitude for life and not because you achieved a goal or because you got something that you wanted, but life itself. When you're able to fill your tank with that kind of gratitude, it goes a long way in modifying that lens I spoke about earlier, the lens of entitlement. Just feeling grateful to be alive. Gratitude for life is incredibly powerful medicine. Thank you for tuning into NVC Life. For future episodes, be sure to subscribe on iTunes, Spotify, or YouTube. For free resources or to book a private session with me, head over to RachelleLamb.com. Until the next time, stay sane, grateful, and generous.